Sactic, like most other Roblox games, has many badges for the players to find and obtain. Some are easy and simple to get, like the various kill badges, Atomic Bomb, and Cleaner 2, while some require a little more effort, such as the infamous Silent Killer, 50 Rounds, and Bolt Bait. Difficult badges to find by accident, basically. Most of these badges do share one thing in common though: we know how to get them. Whether that be through some obscure YouTube tutorial or simply reading the badge's description, anyone can go in Sactic right now and pretty much get whatever badge they wanted. However, of course, there is one badge that not even one player in the entire world knows how to obtain, and that is the Mysterious Entity badge, the one you clicked on this video for, of course. Well, I guess Homer knows how to obtain it, so one person in the world, but that's besides the point. The Mysterious Entity badge was added into the game around the same time the Surface update came out, and ever since nobody has been able to find its location. The badge still shows up on the game's page, but not a single person has obtained it, not even once. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why. But first, we have to explain what the Mysterious Entity badge is and where the idea likely came from. And to be honest, you might be surprised by its origins. Or maybe not, maybe you read the wiki page before watching this. God, are all my videos this dull? Let's start with a little bit of history. The Mysterious Entity first made its appearance in Sactic test servers during a testing session of June this year, around the same time the new Surface update was being tested. Basically, there was a small mini parkour section around one of the hangars that you can actually get on top of and find a figure that bears a striking resemblance to the game's lead developer, Homer Mafia 1. Sorry, I have to clarify that. There's still some people watching my videos who think I'm the creator of this game. Yep, quite a lot of people actually. Quite a lot. Anyway, the figure had no animation, stood completely still, and you could only interact with them by speaking, kind of like the soldier NPCs from, again, the Surface update. Because of the similarities to Homer Mafia 1, the figure was then dubbed by the community as Shadow Homer. That's a super creative name. Shadow Homer, however, didn't really say anything interesting. In fact, he had only 2 lines of text, those being ... and come back later. It was certainly strange seeing an entity like Shadow Homer appear in Sactic. I mean, this isn't really what you'd expect Homer to add in the first place, let alone an entire badge afterwards. But after that whole test server round, the Surface update was later added to the base game, along with the new badge, the Mysterious Entity, showing Shadow Homer in the image with the description being 3 question marks, probably in reference to Shadow Homer's in-game name, also being 3 question marks. Simple enough. Most of the player base just assumed that you had to go to the parkour section a second time in classic mode to get the badge in the main game. However, in this patch, something had changed. Shadow Homer was gone, and the parkour leading up to his location was also missing, seemingly removed before the update went live. So how could we get the Mysterious Entity badge now? The only known location of Shadow Homer had obviously been removed. Well, players looked around the other modes for answers, and while inspecting Extreme Classic mode, they found several bricks, similar to the ones used in test servers to find Shadow Homer originally, were present. However, these bricks were found in different parts of the map. Some were located around the aircraft zones, some around the hangars, and the last couple were found on top of the half-constructed bunker, pretty much concealed by darkness around the whole base. You couldn't really see them from far away. Interestingly, these bricks only appeared in Extreme Classic mode. Not Hard Classic, not Killer, not Endless Survival, not even Juggernaut. I mean, what's so special about Extreme Classic mode anyway? It's always just been kind of there. Except from Kill House. No one cares about Kill House, sorry. However, these bricks didn't lead up to anything. Shadow Homer was not at any of these locations. In fact, nothing was at any of these locations. Not even a hint. But these bricks had to be up here for a reason. I mean, you don't just slap parts together on a map to help players get to a before unreachable area without adding anything there in the first place. Or do you? But even if Shadow Homer didn't appear at any of these locations initially, players still speculated and believed that Shadow Homer was supposed to spawn there. However, instead of spawning when the server first loaded up, Shadow Homer could have spawned through some kind of obscure trigger or action taken inside of the game. For example, killing every killer at least once or completing the Area 51 personnel badge a second time could alert the game to summon the entity on command. Think of it like opening a door. To open almost any door in Area 51, you simply push a button, the button being the trigger, which opens the door, the action being taken. For Shadow Homer, you could activate a trigger by performing a certain task, and then Shadow Homer would be summoned, and then you could find him around the surface in one of the locations. This is how I thought Shadow Homer was triggered for a while as well. I mean, I was also part of the hunt, and believe me, I tried a lot of wacky things, to killing every killer in the electricity room, to inputting 666 into the alien code. I did a lot of things, okay? However, nothing seemed to trigger Shadow Homer to spawn at all, and after a few weeks of players trying to find him, the bricks leading up to the once unreachable areas were silently removed from the game without warning. Well, technically they were added back to the game later, like one day, and then removed again, but you get the idea. All of our progress on the hunt pretty much wiped out overnight, and that's really where all of the concrete proof ends with Shadow Homer. Nobody, including myself, have really hunted him since, and that's why I'm making this video. However, we aren't done with the facts just yet. No, the next piece of information comes from the wiki of all places. Yes, Sactic has a wiki, and just a disclaimer, I'm not 100% sure on the validity of this, but originally, according to Hex, another Sactic dev, the original requirement for Shadow Homer was to have every other badge in the game, 10,000 kills on Classic mode, followed by 100,000 points on Juggernaut mode. We now know that this original requirement doesn't make Shadow Homer appear today, as players who have every single badge, 10,000 kills and 100,000 points, haven't had any more luck at finding Shadow Homer's location than someone with no stats or experience in Sactic at all. Now, I've spoken to Hex himself, and even he doesn't know whether or not the mysterious entity badge can even be obtained either. In fact, he's the one who talked to Homer himself and got, well, a pretty underwhelming response, let's just say that. Homer is the only one who has access to Sactic and Roblox Studio, and the only one who knows how to get the mysterious entity badge. So that means holding any devs at gunpoint in your basement demanding them for a hint is kind of off of the table. Or maybe I'm the only one who thought of that solution. The second piece of evidence comes from, well, let's just say a few exploiters. Now, before you go grab your pitchforks, flaming torches, and bust down my front door, I do not condone exploiting on an Area 51 LEGO game with no goal, so try and find a solution to a pointless badge, because let's be honest, this badge is pretty pointless. However, according to these exploiters, whom I shall keep nameless, apparently the bricks that were found around Extreme Classic mode were listed inside the game's files under the name Entity Help, obviously referring to the fact that these bricks would have helped you get up to wherever the mysterious entity may spawn. If triggered to spawn at all, that is. Again, this is not 100% confirmed, but if this is true, then we may be one step closer to finding out how Shadow Homer appears and behaves. Some people have also speculated that the badge can only be obtained in Endless Survival. If you don't know, all of the badges in Sactic are color-coded to what mode they can be obtained in. Red for Classic and Killer, grey for Endless Survival, blue for Juggernaut, purple for Boss Rush, and yellow for all the other badges. While the colour of the mysterious entity badge is a little darker than the other Endless Survival badges, they are both still grey, leading some players to think that they are connected. However, like others have suggested, this could have been done just to prevent people from knowing what mode this badge is obtained on, as in the base game badges section, it isn't listed under Endless Survival. But even with all of that evidence, why were the bricks leading up to the entity added in Extreme Classic mode and then abruptly removed? I mean, what's the big deal? Well, simply because maybe the requirement for the mysterious entity might have changed. Who knows? Maybe Homer altered it so instead of being on the surface, you could find him in a secret room. It's certainly possible. And it could be because maybe Shadow Homer just isn't ready for the main game yet. Maybe Homer hasn't finished scripting everything. And this is the part of the video where I'm going to give some suggestions on how maybe the mysterious entity badge could be obtained or found within the game. Homer, if you're watching, take notes. But I do want to get something out of the way before I start giving suggestions, and that's the possibility that Shadow Homer will have a badge requirement. I mean, sure, locking achievement behind kills or points is fine, but getting all of the badges just for a chance to obtain the mysterious entity is stupid, and I think we can all agree on that. I mean, most Sactic players don't even have 50 rounds, and there's only a couple thousand people in existence who have the elite boss badges, and don't get me even started on the Silent Killer badge, oh my god. what? My point is, making all of the previous badges a requirement for the mysterious entity would make the badge not only very grindy, but downright impossible for new players, especially those without game passes. Just think about them for a second. And no, not the ones who spam Homo Mafia 1's group wall begging for admin. My second point is that, will any new future badges become part of the requirement? I mean, just think about it. You're one badge away from getting to the mysterious entity, and then a new update drops with 5 more badges that you have to get in order to get, well, of course, the mysterious entity badge. That doesn't sound fun at all, does it? I mean, sure, you could make it so you have to obtain all of the badges leading up to the mysterious entity, like the way Area 51 personnel works, where you don't need to get weapons like the DB shotgun or the ARP, but even with all of these badges in the game currently, it's still a massive grind that takes away the fun of hunting Shadow Homer to begin with. Now, I'm not going to go and write an entire essay on how the badge should be obtained, because to be honest, Homer can do whatever he wants. It's his game. It just depends on it being super grindy or not. And the way Homer has changed a few badges in the past, I think he doesn't want that either. For example, the Way Out, a badge that used to be decently hard to get, is now literally super easy and you can get it done in about 2 minutes. Or Silent Killer, yes, it's still challenging, but it definitely comes down to less RNG to obtain. Do I think the mysterious entity badge will be super annoying and challenging? Well, I just hope I don't have to fight Aberration for it. Let's just say that. In the end though, I doubt the mysterious entity or Shadow Homer will be super duper unbelievably hard. Just difficult to find, hence why this video exists in the first place. But there is one last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this video up, and that's talking about where the mysterious entity might fit within the game's lore. I was also talking about this a couple of videos ago, on how Sactic might indeed have lore attached to the game, or at least trying to have lore. Sorry, it's kind of difficult to piece together a game that killers can just respawn themselves, but regardless, I think I might actually know what Shadow Homer or who the mysterious entity is. And no, it's not regular good old Homer. Shadow Homer is just a made up name, remember, and perhaps with what I talk about here, this may help us find the location of the badge. Let's start by talking about what we actually know about the mysterious entity. Well, he's not a killer, is he? You can clearly interact with him, kind of like the soldier NPCs. Speaking of the soldiers, not a single one talks or gives us any hints about Shadow Homer. In fact, not a single thing is written down in the game that talks about Shadow Homer once. He just kind of exists. Or does he? Well, I have a small little theory on who Shadow Homer could actually be, and that theory being that the mysterious entity is the leader of Area 51. No, not the leader of Area 51 Storming, he's kinda dead. No, the leader of the soldiers in Storming. Perhaps a government leader of sorts. A mastermind? What do you want me to compare this to? Think about it. There's gotta be someone controlling the entire base and someone who's in charge of all of the soldiers, right? And that someone has gotta have some significance to the Sactic lore, right? And maybe Shadow Homer is that person, or at least a ghost of the Area 51 instructor or leader. Who knows? What do you mean it's a dumb theory? Some people have also suggested that Shadow Homer could be made of the same stuff as Aberration, those substances being hate and rage, but I think we need a bit more evidence for that. I don't know, it feels like a stretch at the moment. But hey, coming back to the main conversation, do I think Shadow Homer is in the game? No. I believe Shadow Homer was originally added into Sactic, back when all the bricks in Extreme Classic mode were discovered, but was removed by Homer himself as he wanted to save it for a future update. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe Shadow Homer is in the game, and maybe the mysterious entity badge is in fact obtainable. Who knows? Because I'm sure not doing all that stupid stuff again, good lord. I'm sure by the time I finish editing this video, someone would have already found how to get the mysterious entity badge and the 5,000 or so steps on how to get it. So, archive this video while you can, I guess. That's really all I have to say. But while you're here and while you actually made it to the very end, I'll let you all on to a little secret. I actually know how to get the mysterious... Wait, hold on. Got a notification from my phone. Uh-oh. Seems the, Sactic developers have escaped from my basement. Well, that's unfortunate, isn't it? Let me just go deal with that. Yep, okay, I'll just...